As rural Americans, we have a unique understanding of and connection to the land. Whether we ranch, farm, log, or simply recreate, what we do today determines our tomorrow. As stewards of the land, it's our duty to ensure that our children and grandchildren can enjoy the outdoors in a similar manner that was afforded us. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and ensure the future of elk, other wildlife, their habitat, and our hunting heritage. Visit rmef.org today.
Welcome to another episode of According to Flint, episode number 41. Actually, today, welcoming PBR legend, PBR legend in general. The one and only Ross Coleman. I'm playing hurt today, Ross. Listen to me. This is my version of battling through injury right here. Lost my voice, man.
Hey, that's part of it. Huh? That's part of it.
You got to pack me. You put me on your shoulders and just pack me through this. Because right now somebody's watching this going, what the hell's wrong with Flint's voice, man? That's annoying.
Hey, I've been there, done that. That's part of it, man. You're doing too much TV work. That's part of it.
This is like my nightmare. Like when Flint loses his ability to bullshit with everybody,
right?
That's my worst thing in the world.
Well, that's part of it. Good thing you're tough. You fight through it.
Hey, okay. So if I had to say to you, man, I'm playing hurt. Worst time you ever played hurt. Does anything pop in your mind? Riding bulls, like one time that you were just like, I got to do this and this sucks. This hurts.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I can remember exactly. It's been too damn long, first off.
I know.
Bullshit. But no, it's part of the game. I mean, yes, in general, you got to be tough and you got to freaking fight through the pain sometimes. And I've been there, done that. I mean, we've all been there, done that, all the bull riders. So I don't really remember the exact day or whatever, or exact ride, but yeah, a whole bunch of them.
Are cowboys, bull riders, are they tough because they're tough? Do they battle through injury because of toughness or out of necessity? Because, the old deal is I ain't getting paid if I don't ride. Or is it a combination of both things or one led to the other? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both too. Yes, sir. But like, I think a lot of it kind of plays into the old school cowboy factor of how much of a real cowboy you really are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get around the quality of people like I was a part of for so long. And you get around Justin McBride and JW and Ty, and we talked about Gaffney earlier. Seamus. I mean, it was like you can't be a pussy. You know what I mean? You got to be you got to be a real hand. You got to be a real cowboy, and you got to understand the situation. And we were I did an interview a while back in Fort Worth, and it was like, they were talking about the ultimate cowboy and be cowboy this and be cowboy that. And I got to thinking about all the different cowboy things I've done in my lifetime. And I've done a lot of different cowboy stuff. I used to ride broncs and barebacks and, working hard on ranching or busting broncs or whatever goes on. But the actual real deal cowboy sport is the bull riding world, man. And the PBR has got. And it's so cool because I love all the events in rodeo. Flint, I do. I love every event, man. And my hat's off to those guys. All the from the ropers to the steer wrestlers to the bronc riders to the bareback riders, my hat's off to them. But every one of those guys knows too that the PBR and the bull riding world is the real deal cowboy shit.
That locker room you were in, we want to make it out to be really different than the kids now, which the culture is different. Everything's different for kids now. But holy crap, you caught the tail end of those guys that everybody with Razor and Lambert, and like you said, Aaron Seamus and G-Man and Adriano, you caught the tail end of, like, in my world, in my career, that's the originals, man. Do these guys now not have enough guys in the locker room saying, don't be a pussy? I mean, you had it way worse, I think.
Well, it wasn't like it was guys telling you this stuff, you know. It wasn't like they were up in your grill saying, hey, you better cowboy, or you better do this or do that. It was just the mentality of them. It was just, you go in there and Ty Murray's over here. And you go over and you look across the room and Troy Dunn is over there. And then you go look over here and there's Razor. And then here comes me and McBride. We're freaking 18, 19 years old coming in here. And we're like, all our life, we're looking up to these guys and they're our heroes. I mean, I seriously respect Ty Murray so much. And he still is my hero today. But like, it was so cool to know Ty at a young age, and then also get to be able to ride with him and then show up in the locker room at the biggest PBR level of all, best bull riding in the world by no means. And it was so cool just to be around those guys. And it wasn't like it was like, hey, they were on your ass. Hey, you got a cowboy up or don't be a pussy. It wasn't none of that. It was just like the respect factor you had for them. You know what I mean? It was just like, you're bearing your ass down. You might not be quite as talented as them or quite at their level yet. Right. But when I was 18, 19, 20 years old and I was in the locker room with them and I was riding, all I cared about was being that cowboy and trying my ass off and giving that grit to the, giving everything I got and learning a bunch too. So.
Kind of earning your spot in that locker room.
Yes,
I know how you feel.
Yep.
I remember kind of late 90s, 96, 97. And a guy named David Allen, whose house I'm in right now, this studio. Right. And he took me to some of those early PBRs. And I'm standing out there dressed like a clown. And, oh, it's Ted Noose. It's Tough Edom. It's Timer. Same thing. It's like, I got to do it. It made me rise to the occasion. Even what I was doing, because there was an aura about those guys. And so I get it. It wasn't anything they told me until later. Then Ty Murray made sure to tell me. But
yeah,
that is cool. Hey, I want to go back to something you just said. I knew your family, still know your family from being up in the Northwest, Steve and Kathy. And I mean, there ain't a harsher cowboy in the world than Bridget, your sister. She's the best cowboy I know. And so I knew you guys, and I knew you as you were a 3 rough stock guy. You were, when I saw you, you were a 3 rough stock guy. So when you kind of made that announcement, you were going to go ride in the PBR, I honestly was surprised because I didn't think bull riding was your best event.
I agree. Yes, sir.
Was I wrong? Was I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But like that was the best part about my whole like era from right there through the pro rodeo. I did little pro rodeos and stuff around the circuit and everything. And I rode all 3 rough stock and bareback riding was my best event. It really was. And I loved it and I respected the hell out of it. And I still do today, but I slipped in there and made the PBR finals barely in 99. And I snuck into the PBR finals. My dad was there at the PBR finals with me and my whole family. And I bucked off the first couple bulls or whatever. And then I rode me a couple and I even won a round. I won the last go round, but it was something that was magical about that PBR finals. It was in 1999. And it was that same year that there was like 15 or 20 90-point rides in one perf or whatever. But after that PBR finals was over, my dad and me got to visiting a little bit. And I was still rodeoing a little bit, at the time. And dad was like, man, I don't know. I know that rodeo is good. And the NFR is probably the coolest rodeo in the world. And I know it is. And my respect for it is huge. But he's like, this PBR deal is kicking ass. And I highly recommend you staying hooked on this bull riding world.
Really?
And I respect my dad for that. And everybody around that knows my dad has a lot of respect for him, first off. And I stayed hooked there. All my heroes were there. I mean, Ty Murray was running the business of the PBR at the time. And it was just like, it was clicking. And then Randy Bernard set up and kicked ass and made the PBR what it is today, you know. And it was fun to be on that ride with that PBR. It was cool.
I think it's important, and I try to make this point. We are rodeo fans. Look, I'm a rodeo fan. Still have a connection in the NFR. You're a rodeo fan. I try not to get into this too much, but after all these years, there's still a battle of people say, oh, that PBR. Rodeo guys, big wigs in the PRCA. Screw that PBR. Man, I wish they understood. We're all rodeo fans. Like, we just do it different, but we're selling a different product here. But you can go in the locker room or whatever. We're talking about San Antonio or Houston or the NFR. We all go to the NFR and have jobs or what. I mean, I always just try to make that point that, yeah, we're in this bull riding deal. Man, there's nothing better than that NFR. I mean, it's just cowboy. We're all cowboys, right?
Exactly. I mean, the whole world of that's where I grew up, in St. Paul, Oregon, you know, Malala, Oregon.
Right.
And the St. Paul Rodeo every year, that's where I was that little kid behind the buck and shoots, and I was wanting to get autographs from everybody and wanting to help them and do all that stuff. But it was like, I saw that and I just fell in love with the sport of rodeo from day one. And I roped and I ride, and I still do a little bit of that. But like, I rode broncs and barebacks and bulls and everything. But I swear it was such a great opportunity for me to get hooked up with the PBR and watch it grow from there. And all the PBR has done for rodeo has made rodeo better, because they're making it more of a riding contest now. You look at the American rodeo there, you look at all the NFR, it's not a drawing contest anymore. And that's why the PBR got started, to make it not a drawing contest, to make it a riding contest. And look what it's done. And it's helped the rodeo out too. The stock contractors and the guys that are raising those badass bucking horses. I mean, it's so much better because of the PBR, in my opinion.
You bring up McBride all the time, because when I think of you, I think of McBride. When I think of McBride, I think of you. And one of the greatest stories ever is when McBride is talking about registering for classes and going to school at UNLV with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because McBride, I don't know if people know this. He's an intellectual. Like, that guy, it's about reading, it's about school, getting in classes. And he's like, man, I was babysitting old Roscoe trying to he shows up. He's not even registered in the class. McBride was like taking care of you down there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did. He took good care of me. Yeah, I remember he showed up and I think he had like a 92 Pontiac worth about $600 probably. And I think that's about all he had to his name. And I was in like an old Chevy, old red piece of junk ranch truck. And we showed up in Vegas and we're like greener than green, let me tell you. And yeah, when it come into like signing up for classes or whatever, and luckily my older sister was there too and going to college too, the same college. So she kind of helped me out a little bit also. But yes, when it comes down to schoolwork and it comes down to being knowledgeable and everything about all that world, I swear, I damn sure need all the help I can get. But yeah, we had quite a few different classes, and I took a couple random classes because they said the counselor said that the teachers were nice or whatever, because I took medical terminology was one of my classes, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing in there. And I got in there and I had somebody do my homework for me, whatever, and got by, but I just barely passed just enough so I could make the rodeo team. So we snuck through that little deal.
How long did you go there? How long?
1 year.
Just
one year.
One and done.
Year.
Just one and done.
Yeah, the college rodeos were great. We had a good time. We went to a bunch of rodeos in Arizona and New Mexico and obviously Vegas there. John Groundy and Michael Gaughan flew me and Justin McBride to a PBR event, Fort Worth, Texas, 1998. And we went out there to the Tough Hedeman Challenge at the time. And it was a big, huge, badass bull riding. And Michael Dawn hooked us up. We got to fly in his jet. And we're broke schoolboys, you know, and it was so badass. And that kind of, from then on, Michael and John Growney took care of me and Justin there. And we watched the bull riding and got to meet all you guys. And from then on, I think we were kind of hooked in that PBR world. So,
hey, UNLV was tough, rodeo team wise, big time.
Yes, sir.
Hey, and I'm talking about you being a 3 rough stock guy. McBride, that was bareback, right? That was old bareback Jack, Justin McBride, wasn't he?
Hey, Justin McBride could spur him in the bareback guy. Well, you seen him spur bulls, obviously, but we went to Arizona rodeo one time, and he drew this old gray horse, and this old gray horse was a hopper, but he was good. I mean, he's a 78 pointer, you know, just pretty good to ride. But I'm talking about would hop across there and make a circle. And Justin did spur this bitch. It looked like it was good. It was very McBride, and McBride's a hand. And that's the best part about Justin and being around him today, and everything's so good too. But like back when he rode bulls, first off, amazing. But when he could ride a bareback horse, I guarantee he could rear back and give it to one. And he's a hand. He's damn sure fun to be around.
That guy makes me laugh. Now he just is like calf roping, team rope, whatever. He's one of them guys.
Cutting horses. Riding a cutting horse, and he's got a couple cutting horses in training, I think, and he's just very talented.
He pisses me off. He's one of them guys, just good at everything. So,
yep.
Hey, let's go back a couple weeks here. Big Global Cup win, Coach Ross Coleman with the big Global Cup win for the US of A. I remember, and I had Mason Taylor on a show, and I told him, you know, when they put them teams together, people were commenting, oh, what they just give it to the Brazilians now. No, it's not even fair. Not even fair. You throw a bunch of 22-year-olds on a team. Holy crap. It woke me up to the fact of the young guys we got riding bulls right now. What a group, huh?
I was so impressed with them, Flint. I'm telling you, they were on fire that night, but it was just like those group of younger guys too. I remember a little bit. So when me and Justin were 22 years old, I can remember that craving and that feeling that we get. So it was so great how naturally it worked out. First off, Cooper Davis got hurt, you know, and Boudreaux Campbell got hurt, they were on the team, but it worked out to be perfect with Dalen and all the guys. And it was just such a great event. And those guys fed off each other, and they're young and eager to win and eager to learn. And I got them together quite a few weeks ahead of time at Lambert's house. And we did some team roping, and we did some basketball playing, and we did some steer wrestling. And it was just something that they all got together and were seriously feeding off each other. And it reminded me of back in the day when Justin and J-Dub and Seamus and me and Razor and all of us would get together and feed off each other. It was just such a great time, Flint, and they rode their asses off, man. It was good. It was so good.
I think that's been I know early on with it was the World Cup, then the Global Cup. I remember the Brazilian team would ride. They'd throw their hats and run out in the arena. And the Americans didn't do that. It was like, they got to look around. They were just there riding.
Right.
I think what was missing was that element to bring them together and say, we're a team here. And so, you know, that's important in that format. You know, I saw it right away. They had more enthusiasm than any other country there. Right. I never thought I'd see that. Never thought I'd see it.
Well, did you with Dalen? When Dalen rode the first bull out, he was 90 on our very first bull out of the first section, and it naturally happened. It wasn't like our game plan. It wasn't like everybody in the locker room. Okay, now after you make a bull ride, that's everybody jump in the ring and start patting everybody around. It wasn't like that. It was just naturally. Everybody was on a high that day, and me including. Obviously, I was jacked up like I do, I get excited, but why not get excited? I mean, this is bull riding. I mean, why not get pumped up for your team, and why not get pumped up for the best country in the world? And we showed up, and we were young bucks, and we were damn sure Brazil was damn sure going to be the favorite no matter what. And we showed up, and we kicked that ass.
Hey, by the way, before we went on the air, I'm telling Logan, who helps me, I said, I used to do a Ross Coleman imitation.
Oh, I'm sure.
Ross Coleman in an interview. Ross Coleman, man, great ride tonight. What'd you think of the show? Man, it's kick ass. Shit, yeah, it's kick ass. Best bull in the world, best bull riders in the world. Kick ass. Yeah. Back to you, Craig. That's it. That's fine. Well, I mean, I added some other colorful words in there too. But you're like one of my best to believe it or not. I imitate it.
Well, I appreciate it. You make fun of me all you want to. Okay, that's part of it.
Hey, with the Global Cup in mind, coaching that team, you're now going to be a coach in the new PBR team stuff. What's your team? What team are you?
Missouri Thunder.
Oh, you and Luke Snyder.
Me and Luke together. Yes, sir.
So similar approach. What do you bring? The format is different than Global Cup, but the team aspect is similar. Is that what you're going to try and bring to whoever your team is? Similar. Come on, guys, stick together, kind of a thing.
Of course. I mean, that's what it's all about. The coolest part is too, like, we'll have guys from Brazil on our team. We'll have guys from America on our team or whatever. But like, when we can bring them all together and try to do the exact same thing we did at Global Cup with our guys, but like, it's just going to be such a great opportunity, but also a great learning experience for all these bull riders too, because they're going to get better. They really can't. They're going to get better, and it's going to be so much fun because they're going to have in and out of the arena. We're going to be doing lots of real stuff that's legit cowboy stuff, but as a team to make them really communicate and really kick ass.
So if you tell me this, knowing bull riders like I do, and through the years and a lot of these young guys, if you and Luke as coaches and your management of your team, you start saying, okay, as a team, we're getting together here. We're going to do this. Do you think there'll be any pushback? Because there's a lot of bull riders, and a lot of young guys going, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. You know, I've always had a statement I've made that cowboys want to be treated like professional athletes until they get treated like professional athletes, because there's a real independence that this is all built on. Do you anticipate, guys, or what do you do if you do get pushback of them saying, screw this, I don't need to go do all that? What do you do?
Well, I mean, that's the most important part. When we do pick our team, we want to pick the guys that we think or might be all in to try something new, maybe, or to, when it comes to the technique part of it too, or whatever, when it comes to technique of bull riding, yeah, there's little basic things that we can work on at times, but we're not going to go crazy and break things down and just say, you've got to do this special and this special and this special. We're going to do more of a cowboy aspect of it and feed off each other and have them be together and be a team, you know what I mean? And have some guys that will be able to push each other and have some leaders on our team, like Dalen was on our team for Global Cup. I mean, he was our leader out there kicking that ass, but he was doing it naturally. It wasn't like we're going to be trying to do all this fancy dancy new stuff. We're going to try hard to keep them working out and keep them busy, but we're not going to go wide ass open and try to do some fancy technique stuff, because bull riding's bull riding. You know what I mean? Right. And yes, some of them might take it better than others, but I think it's going to be a good run for everybody. And we're there to help. That's our main thing. We're trying to help the sport and help these riders. And the riders are outstanding in today's world, in my opinion, anyways. Yes, they're streaky, right. But do you remember PBR finals this last year? How good was that? On that Sunday morning at 9:30 in the morning.
9:30 in the morning. One of the best performances I've ever seen.
I'm telling you,
unreal, man.
And that's the type of stuff that we'll remind these guys of. That was so badass. I enjoyed that perf of bull riding. And the bulls of the PBR are absolutely amazing. You know that. But they showed up and rode this year at the PBR finals. And I think that's just the way a lot of the team things are going to be. So I think it's going to be good.
Okay. So I got to admit something, which people know that I have not been all in on the team deal. Because for one, I've been informed a lot about it. And I just have been skeptical. You just brought something up for the first time to me. It clicked in my brain that could be a real positive for everything. Said, if you can get those guys working out, focusing on mental things, doing stuff, it really could flip a switch in them for when the regular season comes to crown a world champion, that they take what you guys have had them do and just make them that much better when it's a solo event, when they're trying to win a world title. I mean, there's some real positives could come out of this.
And that's so true. And that's the best part about this whole situation of bull riders and bull riding. Like Cody Lambert and me and Justin and J-Dub, we do quite a few clinics and stuff over at his house. Last summer we did some coaching stuff. But like the one thing he always says is like the bull riding has kicked ass and gotten better and better. The bulls have gotten better and better. The riders have too, to a certain extent, but we really haven't passed the torch down to the riders like we could be or should be in the last 10 or 12 years. You know what I mean? Right. It's like there for a while with Ty and the original guys that were in there. And then there was a couple badass bull riders show up, you know, from Justin McGraw and then JB and all this stuff. And then, but it's like, how do you pass the torch down? And we really just haven't really just done a lot of clinics or a lot of coaching or a lot of stuff to actually try to pass the word. And I think it's getting better now that the team deal is showing up. It's just going to be great for everybody.
It has engaged you guys more. I agree. I think there really was that, even if it was a general attitude like you talked about from those kind of original guys to you guys, but then it kind of got to a point where these young guys, it was more being critical instead of stepping in. And then you had that influence, like, you know, there's only been a few freaks of nature in this sport. You know, McBride's one of them. JB Mooney is a real freak of nature. I remember when Mason Taylor come along. I do more of the JB Mooney style. I don't work out. I don't do the. Nobody can do JB Mooney. You can't do the crap fans only knew crap he did and then go be 95 points the next day. Well, so JB wasn't really what he was passing along was kind of a different deal. And this where it's bringing you and Luke Snyder. I mean, we don't see Luke enough to pass that along. That's a great point, to pass along positivity instead of critical.
The positive note, that's so true. And it feeds off each other, man. It's so contagious. That's the best part about bull riding. It's so contagious. When we had that World Cup the other day, when Dalen rode that first bull, you could just see the positivity through all our bull riders. And then when Dalton Castle rode that bull for 92, which was amazing ride.
Yeah. Could have been 94. Could have been 94.
It could have been. Yeah, you could have just given the books pretty much. I mean, that bull was bucking. But I'm telling you, like, it's so contagious, and that positive, good, fun energy. That's why we do bull riding. I mean, yes, there's a lot of money to be won. And yes, there's a lot of stuff to go through and a lot of interviews and a lot of distractions. But the whole reason why you do bull riding, in my opinion, is for that feeling that you get when you're out there and you got your buddies behind you and you're out in the arena with you and you're pumped or whatever. Like, I mean, it's just what it's all about. It's magic, man. It's like, feels pretty awesome.
Yeah. I saw it this week in Arizona. As we record this, I just came from Arizona, Glendale, Arizona. I'm seeing more guys now whooping and hollering for that guy riding. And that has come from, you know, a lot of that bled over, from the Global Cup. Man, even I need a reminder once in a while that, man, look at what we get to do. Because I get jaded. I'm tired and
Right.
can't talk. And oh, poor me. And I look around. We're doing it. You know how many millions of people wish they were doing what we were doing?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's cowboy shit.
It really is.
This podcast, there is a podcast called Cowboy Shit. They beat me to the name. Canadians. Damn Canadians. It's fun to listen. I do a lot of Q&As with fans and tour stuff where they ask us questions. A lot of them are surprised how little the guys are, but then a lot of them have knowledge. So they're like, it's true, isn't it? That the smaller, the better with the guys. Them big guys, they don't do as good. When I think of big bull riders, I think of, for one, Montana, Bo Hill. Remember Bo Hill?
Yeah,
Bo Hill. Owen Washburn was a pretty tall dude. Cody Teal's a little bigger. You were a big guy. You don't know any different, right? You're a long-bodied kind of bigger guy for a bull rider. People will ask, Cody Teal, is it harder for you? Well, it's all I've ever known. Were there things that guys could do that you couldn't as a big guy? Did you have any disadvantages that you thought in your head?
No, I think that's just another distraction. I think it's just another excuse. I think for some guys out there. I mean, yes, I was bigger, and I would, if I could do it all over again, I'd lose a lot more weight and take it more seriously and really be lean and really be, athletic, a little more athletic than I really was. But I got by pretty good. But I think today's world with the bulls that are so badass, if I was going through it all, yeah, I could do okay again today. But if I could try to lose a lot more weight and try to be a little bit more leaner and a little bit more agile, definitely would have helped me with my bull riding. But it is what it is. But it's just another distraction. But like you talk about guys like Owen Washburn and whatever, and being tall, and Cody Teal. I mean, those guys are first class bull riders, and it's so cool it's cool to be around guys like that back in the day too. Owen Washburn was seriously badass, man.
He was
badass
in every way.
Yes.
That guy, it is fun. I'm starting to do it more now as I approach kind of the end of my career a little bit. You look back on all those generations of guys. That Owen Washburn, guys like him, I don't think anybody realizes like how funny, how dry a lot of those guys were. And I try to compare it now in the locker room, and I can't find any guys like that. It was a different humor back then because it wasn't phone, wasn't TikTok, it wasn't social media. It was just right here. Everything was right there.
Well, I tell you what, could you imagine having Owen Washburn on TikTok back in the day? There was some funny shit that he did or whatever he said. It'd be good. It'd be funny for me and you, but Owen Washburn, he's a hero of mine, man. And he's such a badass, man. He was first class, and he could ride any of them, and he was tall, and that's no excuse. You know what I mean? So it's like the taller you are, whatever, you just got to have a little more cowboy try.
Yeah. Social media dominates the world now. You said, imagine Owen Washburn on stuff. Can you imagine if you and Justin McBride had to put up with people filming you? Do you know how many times we'd be on the East Coast and I'd have a 6 a.m. flight, and I'd come through the lobby of the hotel at 4:30 a.m. and McBride's sitting there leaning on a guitar, and you're sitting there, and Luke Snyder's sitting there, and whoever else was around. It was a different world because of the limited access to what you guys were doing in your personal time. That is a different aspect of what you were doing.
Well, we damn sure had fun. I'll tell you that much. And pretty much Justin would win about every event, it seemed like. So if he won, we all won. So we all have to celebrate, correct? So, and Justin loved playing that guitar, and he plays it pretty good. And a lot of times too, he'd show up, Win Varble might be there, or some other awesome guitar player.
Trent Willman used to show up. I remember there were some guys that,
randomly at some hotel lobby somewhere, and it'd be after the bull riding was over. So we're all done and we have a pretty good time and just enjoy some good music. But yeah, we damn sure we raised a little hell a little bit back in the day.
Hey, but McBride made a good point on this podcast. He made a good point that he said, you know what, we had fun, and we did, as he said, we did some stupid shit here and there. But what guys don't realize is all the stuff that looked wild and we were off doing our thing. Everything we did somehow came back to bull riding and winning. We might have been drinking beer till 4:30 in the morning, but we were talking about it. We were thinking about it. We were focused on it. I thought that interesting that everything you did went back to that.
Of course. I mean, that's why we were there. First off, it got to be a distraction sometimes for me or whatever, a little bit of partying. But I'm telling you, man, when you get down there with those group of guys, from J-Dub to Justin, even Owen Washburn show up randomly, whatever, but with those badasses, it was like, yeah, we might be drinking till 2 or 3, 4 in the morning, whatever. But we were zoned in talking about bull riding or congratulating somebody because they kicked ass or he's buying a beer or whatever. But we were definitely zoned in and loving everything about the real world of bull riding for sure.
There was a famous interview. It was Leah Garcia days when Leah was around, which wasn't that long ago. But Leah used to talk about the famous, I think it was like Jacksonville, Florida, coming into Sunday afternoon. It was McBride and Ross Coleman, like 1-2 something. And you guys been out like all night. And she's interviewing both of you. And McBride says something, I can't remember the process. And she asks you something, and McBride goes like this, looking at you. And everybody there knew what kind of shape you were in. And I still picture that you going to you, and you did your it's kick ass. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good day. And McBride's going,
oh, he's a smart ass, isn't he? He's a really good smart ass, and he's tough too. I'm telling you, he's a wrestling, tough, eye gouging, fish hooking son buck too. I'm not lying. He is a real deal.
Oh God.
But he'd always jack and he'd find a way to jack with me or jack with him or whatever. And that was the fun part about it. We had so much fun. I mean, we jack with each other all the time and just enjoy it, man. It was damn sure a good ride.
Well, and I bring McBride up a lot around you.
Yeah.
And same bringing you up around him. Because you were like a married couple, but you liked each other. But you brought up your dad and what you were around growing up. The St. Paul rodeo, there's the Molalla rodeo right there close. But your guys' ranch, because I experienced this. Me and my family stayed there between rodeos. That 4th of July time from then into August, your place, your ranch in Molalla, Oregon, was full of the greatest cowboys in the world for months.
For sure.
I mean, for you, your brother Mitch, your sisters, it's like assimilation. You watch those guys all the time. I think he had a lot in that place to be around those kind of guys all that time from when you were this big. What a great experience.
It really was. It's like Growney used to keep all the stock there too, so John Growney keep all his rough stock there and condiment stock. So then it just kind of was a chain reaction because everybody knew John. So all the Charmaine James to show up there with her badass horse Scamper. So that was a big deal back in the day when we were kids, and then all of a sudden a bunch more barrel racers, a bunch more ropers, and a bunch more cowboys and bronc riders. The Etbauer brothers used to come by there and stay at the ranch. I mean, one day I was out there, I was about 10 years old, and Ty Murray's out there, and it was during the day. We just waiting on the perf that night in Molalla or St. Paul or whatever. And Ty Murray and Cody Lambert were at the ranch and stuff. And then John Growney brought him over, and it was like, it was so cool. And it was weird. It wasn't weird. It was cool to me that they were around and I got to know them a little bit. And they just come kill time and come swimming at the ranch or come, chill out during the day. But a lot of the people that had horses or whatever would keep them there at the ranch, and some are out there sometimes. But it was just a great opportunity. My dad knew everybody. I mean, my dad run the rodeo in St. Paul, so they all respected him. And he's like, "Come on, guys," and he would feed them up and feed their horses and feed them. My mom would feed them up, and it was just is the way it should be.
Well, plus you had a pool. I mean,
well, yeah, for sure.
That's why if you got a pool, you instantly have friends. That's just
for sure. Yeah.
Hey, is it true? You guys had a huge barn there, huge indoor arena, and at the old thing where you go in AT&T Stadium, and sure enough, there's some cowboy going, "Man, you could stack a lot of hay in here." It's the old joke. You guys filled your barn with hay. Is it true? Is it true then you fed from the middle? So then come spring, it was big enough you could rope in there? Is that true?
Oh, well, back in the day when we were around a bunch riding all winter long, Dad would have it set up where we could have a bull riding bucking pen in there. So we buck bulls in there all winter long. And that was the best part. That my dad, he hooked me up pretty good with the whole situation. He made us work first off too. We wasn't just a bunch of spoiled brats, but we damn sure had to work our ass off quite a bit. But he'd have bucking bulls for us. He'd have bucking horses for us. Every Wednesday night we'd buck bulls around there all winter long. And we'd have our own little jackpot. We had about 7 or 8 guys around there that could really ride and in the barn. And it was full of hay. Shoot, we used to have high school rodeos in there. The 1 year or a couple years, it'd get rained out at the rodeo grounds right there in Malala for the high school rodeo. Yep. So Dad just shipped all the hay out and made grandstands with the hay and set up a badass rodeo pen right in the indoor arena there. So right in the hay barn, pretty much.
Yeah,
so it was good.
I remember hearing about that. So good confirmation on the rumors I heard. So, hey. Young guys now. We've talked about your young guys on your team. They, Dalen Swearingen, barely number 1 in the world right now. There are also, when you go to one of our shows, almost half of them are Brazilians now. When you caught the end of Adriano Moraes and then Silvano Alves, there are 4 or 5 of them. Everybody's like, look at all the Brazilians. Well, now there's 20. Those guys, they don't have a plan B. Like physically, there's nothing different about them. But up here, they gave up everything. There's no other option.
Right.
You got to respect that. I mean, a lot of people don't like them Brazilian riders. Why? Because they're good?
They are good.
Yeah.
They are good. And it's, I've been to Brazil. I've been to Brazil and rode down there. And there is thousands of them down there that are just craving a chance to come over to America and come ride bulls. And I think it makes the bull riders in America better. I mean, yes, we are spoiled a little bit to a certain extent, these bull riders in America, but you take a guy like we're talking about Derek Kolbaba earlier, take a guy like him and you put him and all these other Brazilians are showing up. And it makes Derek or any other American boy or anybody on my team that was on the U.S. team the other day, they know the Brazilians are going to ride. We know they're going to do good, but we got to step our game up because of that. Now, when this whole team format shows up, there's going to be Brazilians spread out throughout all the teams, and it's going to be a good problem for everybody. And then get those Brazilians and Americans working together, working out together, feeding off each other. It's just going to be even better. So I was pumped. I love watching that Mauricio. Mauricio rode good there the day. Now I enjoy when he rides you and you ride him too.
Do you know that guy? Do you know him?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't met him until about a month ago or so, or a couple months before the Global Cup. He come over to Lambert's and started roping a little bit with us. He ropes pretty good too. And he's a good boy. Super nice guy.
He just started learning English like a year ago. And speak English, that guy's hilarious.
Yeah,
like, he is funny. And I really wish fans knew that. Like, I think they kind of create that we all don't like each other. listen, it doesn't matter if you're Brazilian, American, Australian. Some of you are cool. Some of you are assholes. It's just the way, it's just the nature of the world. That Mauricio, that guy, he's a character, but that's a good point. I've through the years, I've had, 75-year-old men at the coffee shop go, what the hell are we going to do about all these Brazilians? We got to do something about these Brazilians. The answer is simple. Beat them.
Beat them. Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Step your game up. Step your game up.
Yeah. A lot of people, they're just like, send those Brazilians home. Well, it is called a world championship, not the American championship. So I remember early on when there's 2 or 3 Brazilians right after Adriano. This shows the intelligence of some of the people in the world. Somebody sent an email, or was right when social media was coming out, and somebody said, why don't they send them Brazilians back to Mexico where they came from?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, jeez.
I respect the heck out of them though, because they show up here and you move a long ways away from home and you show up here and they got one job to do, and that's to ride bulls, and they work hard at it and they work out hard and they're always helping each other out and feeding off one another, and they're kicking ass. They're doing good.
They, you know what they do? They create a team. Like,
of course,
Cody Lambert has commented that the one disadvantage that PBR guys have now is they don't hop in a car, 4 of them, and drive 15 hours.
Right.
And bond and talk about bull riding and have that team feel. That's gone because everybody flies everywhere. The Brazilians have it because they have 2 advantages. This is the Flint school of bull riding coming up. They got 2 advantages. Number 1, they've created their own team in a sense. Number 2, because of their lack of the knowledge of the language, they don't have a bunch of distractions. It's all right here. Tunnel vision.
Right.
I should write a book, Roscoe.
You could. No, that's true though. There's so many distractions in bull riding. And that's what I told my guys at the Global Cup that day before we started. I said, there's going to be so many distractions, and that big, huge TV screen right out there is a huge distraction in Jerry's world. But we got together and we huddled up about it. We talked about it. We said, let's just go out here like we're at Lambert's practice pen, at his indoor pen at his house. And yes, TV, and yes, money, and yes, the Brazilians are probably going to be right there, right on top by us with the points, and don't look at none of that. And Justin McBride helped me with that too. He said, he brought that up to me before we coached that team. And he's like, you know what? Like, there's so many distractions out there. Let's just be like we're at Lambert's practice pen and go out there and start feeding off each other and start kicking ass and being contagious like bull riding can be. And bam, it worked out really good.
Momentum is real.
Yes, sir.
I've said it in bull riding forever. Momentum is real, whether it's good or bad. Whether you're falling off or riding, it's for real in bull riding. Hey, a discussion I've had with a lot of people is what happens to cowboys when they're done. We've seen world champions retire with nothing, and you know that. We've seen them our whole lives. A guy wins 3 world titles. He retires from rodeo. You don't know where he is, what he's doing. And it's sad.
Right.
If I were to put Ross Coleman during a podcast in the perfect setting, it's in a barn with cowboy stuff hanging on the wall behind it.
Right.
Because you've gone not a different direction, but you've taken advantage of the fact that you're not a bad looking dude. You do. Every time I open up a magazine or look at a commercial, I go, freaking Ross Coleman again. This whole being an ads modeling deal, that's been a fun thing for you. It's keeping you rolling.
It's doing good. I mean, it kind of paid the bills for a little bit. I worked for a buddy of mine here, trained horses for about 3 years, about 8 miles from my house right here. And him and I both had an interview with a gal from our cowboy church in town here. And she showed up and interviewed him first, and then came over to my house and interviewed me. And we're like, they couldn't tell us what it's for or whatever, but it worked out to be an interview for a Marlboro, the Marlboro deals that we do for a big photo shoot deal. Anyways, long story short, about 3 years of nonstop riding and pulling on colts, they said, hey, we're going to send you somewhere and pay a little bit of money to go take some photos. And I was like, well, that sounds a little bit better than riding colts all day long. So that worked out pretty good there. And so from then, Boot Barn caught on. And then from there, other guys, you know, Resist All and everything else kind of helped out a little bit and started doing things. Chris Douglas, you know Chris, a buddy of mine, a photographer from Montana, has hired me on a bunch to do random photos of doing cowboy shit, like we're talking about, riding and roping.
And you're doing it for real. They're just taking pictures of it.
Yes, sir. And that's the cool part. I like the photos are really cool to see, you know, when you can get a lot of horses rolling at one time and going fast at times, which is pretty damn dangerous at times, but right up my alley, and or pulling on a horse or busting a bronc or whatever, and having some pretty cool flicks. It's really fun, and it's really cool to see the hard work you put into it too. Like, it'll be a couple of days of some serious work going on, and seeing the finished product is very first class. So it's kind of cool to see.
I laughed one day. I'm standing in the Dallas airport, and I'm at the baggage claim, and they're playing a video above the baggage claim, and it's a Boot Barn commercial.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, nothing says Texas like a cowboy commercial rolling across at baggage claim. And I looked up, and they're running through the snow, and that commercial was filmed in Montana. And I'm like, take that, Texans. You had to film the damn commercial in Montana to be Texans. Montana wins again, buddy.
Hey, Montana is beautiful, man. I love it up there. Yeah. And then there's Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and just getting to travel and see these different places is so cool too. And
hey,
to be done.
Did you, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just thought, did you do some Yellowstone work? 1883?
I did.
Has it aired, the episodes you did? You had a name and everything, right?
Oh man, Bowen. I was Bowen. I had 2 lines. I had 2 short little lines, and it was badass. It was fun.
Okay. What were your lines? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was your crew's pretty light to be gathering wild cattle. That's what I told Sam Elliott. I told him that we had
Academy Award.
I had my hat on. I had a flat brim hat on. I was all dialed in there, and I was like, I showed up there and old school, you know, kind of rough looking, and I was part of a group of cowboys that were helping them gather the cattle, getting the stray cattle together. And Taylor Sheridan, he's a friend of mine, and he called me and hired me on to come work on that show for about a month or so. And I had that line, and then I had another line. My first line was that when we walked up to Sam, I said, your crew's a little light to be gathering wild cattle. That's what I told him. And then he said he'd hire us on. And so we went and helped him gather the cattle and did a lot of work there. And then another scene, we were playing cards at the campfire, and I told him I'd bet somebody double. So I had 2 quick little lines, because I'm not much of an actor at all, by the way. And I'm pretty sure Taylor Sheridan knows that I'm not an actor. And but it was fun, because there's me and Buster Frierson was there, and we were punching cows around, and it was just it was fun. There was a couple other cowboy guys that were there, and a bunch of actors. A bunch of the actors were there, and they were good people. They're really good. Tim McGraw, man, Tim McGraw is a positive, hardworking, good dude. Really good guy.
You know, I defend Tim McGraw. I see it on Facebook. Oh, Tim McGraw, his black straw hat. We're so critical in the cowboy world of people that just want to wear a cowboy hat. They bought the damn cowboy hat. Give them a break. And Tim McGraw bought his whole family tickets to the PBR in Nashville one year.
You're damn right.
We took him up, and he was so excited. I defend Tim McGraw all the time.
Yes,
He's
sir.
a good guy. Good guy.
And Sam Elliott, man, just being around those guys was cool because it was kind of like being around Ty Murray and Jim Sharp and Owen Washburn in the locker room. I mean, they were that. It was cool. There was like a bunch of people on set at that movie deal, but Sam Elliott, way nice to everybody. Super cool guy, old school badass cowboy, great actor, good to be around, nice to everybody. And then Tim McGraw is like the leader of all those actor guys. Like he was so positive and so like it'd be long days, it'd be long hot days out there, and Tim McGraw would be energetic and like motivating and just good to be around. So I learned a lot from Tim just watching him and watching him be such a badass that he is. And it was fun to see those guys. It was good.
Tim would step up and go, "Come on, fellas. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Live like you were dying. Let's go." But
you got it.
That was too easy. Too easy.
It was good.
That's awesome. But you know what? Well, the story you just told us, that's the clip we're going to use to advertise this podcast. Hey, you got like the coolest boy. You got a hot wife and you got cool boys.
Thank you, sir.
And
I'm blessed.
You know, when we set this up, you said, what time can we do it? Well, I take my boys here and I go here. As we do this, they're on spring break, but listen, people post videos of their kids playing sports all the time, and I just roll through it, whatever.
Right.
Not your boys. Those are football playing little bastards. Those guys,
yes,
they're rolling, aren't they? They're good.
Oh, they're doing good. They're doing really good. Yeah. Cooper's down there playing football right now, and it's springtime. You know, it's spring break, but they're already talking about football for the fall. So he's out there working with the head varsity coach right now. He'll be a freshman next year, but it's just such a good vibe around Texas and the football world and the sports industries for all these guys, for all my kids. They all love all the sports, and we're involved with all of it. And they all can rope and ride a little bit and do what they need to do if need be. But I love the sports, man. We got basketball tournament this next weekend. We got track meets. We've got baseball. We've got football, and I can't wait till football because I'm a football fan. I love football. Yeah.
Hey, you were a Molalla
Indian. The Molalla Indians.
Molalla Indians.
You damn right. We kicked
football field. Too. I know where the football field is. You were okay, weren't you?
Yes, sir. I got a couple offers to go play college ball for sure.
Where'd you get offered?
Yeah.
Where'd you get recruited?
Western Oregon State.
The Wolves or the
I think they're the Cougars or something. I think the Western Oregon State. I got an offer to go play. I was a middle linebacker, and I enjoyed contact, so it was fun.
No kid.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But it was fun, man. We had a couple Cowboys on that team too that were legit, and we had a pretty good little high school football team back in the day. You know, but stories.
I'm giving you credit, but your wife was like superstar athlete, right? Track star. Am I right?
Oh yeah. Yep. You got it. Yep. That's where the kids get it all. My wife was a good athlete. She was good at basketball too. And her dad, Perry Lee, badass cowboy, famous calf roper, bareback rider, bull rider from right here in Texas. And the genetics are there. So the genetics are there for the kiddos.
Man, it's a good breeding program.
There you go.
Good breeding program. You know, the famous line. Then I don't want to keep you all day, but famous line that when the Bulls really started just slamming guys, Bulls were getting better in the PBR. And I don't know if it was on TV or what. Somebody said, man, with the breeding program of these Bulls, Cowboys are going to have to start their own breeding program. Ty Murray's famous line. Yeah, we've had one forever. We just don't talk that much about it.
Right. That's true.
Ty Murray.
Good genetics.
That's right. That's right.
Good genetics.
Listen, buddy, I appreciate it. I've known your family for, forever. And I knew when I went to the Northwest, I always felt safe. And you know how this is when you go certain places and you know certain people in their lives that, you know, I always defend certain friends because I always say, if anything ever went wrong, I know they drop everything. when I was up in the Northwest and I'd go to Canby, St. Paul and Canby, and no matter where I was around there, I know if something went wrong, I could always go to the Coleman Ranch.
Yes, sir.
Like, I just never had any concerns in the Northwest because of your family. And that, to me, that's what being a cowboy is, what your family was to me.
It really is. And family it's so huge for all of us. And it's so true. And my mom and dad are just first class folks, and everybody in the rodeo world's part of the family. So the Coleman Ranch is out there, and everybody enjoys the heck out of it. And I can't wait to get back there with our bull riding team.
You're the best, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. Good to see you, Bart.
You too. Always.